Good afternoon and welcome to True Crime, Voice for the Voiceless. I'm Maria. Today we're going to discuss the Menendez Brothers' potential release, also the update of a potential clemency. What are your thoughts? Do you think they should be released? Do you think they should stay in prison for the rest of their lives? Let me know in the comments below. Let's get to it. August 20th of 1989, Lyle Menendez called 911. He stated him and his brother Erik returned home and found his parents, Jose Menendez and Kitty Menendez, emmed. When authorities showed up, the parents were almost unrecognizable. They thought it was a mob hit because of the high stature in the entertainment industry that Jose worked in. In 1990, the boys were arrested. The authorities were watching them and watching how they were just spending money, buying all kinds of expensive things. They weren't acting like children that lost their parents. At least that's what they were seeing and thinking. So Lyle got arrested, but at the time, Erik was away on a trip in Israel. So a family member contacted him and let him know that Lyle was arrested. And Erik jumped on a plane and came back to California and turned himself in. Now, the trial started in 1993. It lasted through to 1994. It was actually 5 months. And it was one of the first trials that was on TV, on court TV. So a lot of us watched it. I did. I seen the trial. It was a big thing when this happened because Beverly Hills, California, is not known for crime. So people did not understand what happened because at first they didn't think at all that it was maybe their children. So the trial took place, and the prosecutors stated that they believe that the boys and their parents for the money. But the defense stated that the boys were fearing for their life because they were afraid that their father, Jose Menendez, was going to M them that night, that they had been abused and abused for years. So Lyle and Erik, they did both get on the stand. Now they had two separate juries, one for Lyle and one for Erik. Erik was on the stand second. As he watched Lyle up there talking, he was just in tears. He was just crying almost the whole time. Watching Lyle speak and tell of all the horrific things that allegedly happened was hard to watch. It was really hard. And, there was a lot of talk about whether he was truthful, whether he was faking. A lot of people didn't believe him. They didn't believe Erik. A lot of people did believe them. Back in 1989, things were a lot different. And when a boy would talk about abuse, they didn't, it was different. It's just hard to explain. It was different. Things have changed, and a lot of people know that these things do happen, and they happen quite often. And it happened quite often with a family member. So trial went through. Like I said, Lyle spoke and then Erik spoke. When the trial got to its ending, the juries went to deliberate. But both juries could not come back with a unanimous decision. The juries were both deadlocked, and so it led to a mistrial for both juries. So they did have a second trial, and it was with the same judge. Now, the first trial, Lyle was 21 and Erik was 18. The second trial, obviously, they're a year older. The second trial, the judge did not allow them to have it televised. It was also they were not allowed to bring in a lot of their evidence of abuse and different things of that nature. A lot of it was not allowed until the actual when they're sentencing. Then they were allowed to bring some of it up. But in my opinion, by then it was too late. And it changed their trial really, because in the first trial they had numerous people stand up for them and speak for them. They had family members, they had coaches, teachers, friends, neighbors that all corroborated that the boys had been abused. Now, they didn't corroborate the S abuse, other than a cousin did, and he took the stand as well. But these things were not allowed. So the trial happened. They had a different lawyer this time, and they were both found guilty of first-degree M. They were sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. And they were sent to 2 different prisons. Now, this case was very, very odd and crazy, the things that went on. There was TV shows that made fun of the boys, made fun of the S abuse, like Saturday Night Live, things of that nature. There was, late night people, comedians talking about it, making fun of them. So a lot of things were said about this trial. Now, 2005, they exhausted all their appeals. But in 2017 through 2018, documentaries and different things started coming out on Netflix and TV shows, and there was all different types. There was some that showed them in different lights. There was one that came out recently that the Menendez brothers they spoke out about it and said that it wasn't truthful, the things they were showing, that there was a lot of things in there that were not true, that did not happen. They did not do those things. Now, an interesting thing as well was in 2018, on April 4th, Erik Menendez was sent to the same prison so that he could be with his brother. So they were apart for 20 years. I've never heard anything like that happen before. I thought that was really odd and interesting at the same time. Tell me what your thoughts are. So now we're in 2024. On October 24th, District Attorney George Cascon, I hope I said that right, he had a press conference. He stated his office was receiving hundreds and hundreds of inquiries about the case. They'd said they'd seen in documentaries. They had hundreds and hundreds of people saying they wanted the boys to be released, that they did enough time, things of that nature. There were so many that he said they couldn't even answer the calls or return the calls. He stated that he had all the intentions of going over the case within a few months, but since all this happened, he did it sooner.
I have to tell you that after a very careful review of all the arguments that were made for people on both sides of this equation, I came to a place where I believe that under the law, resentencing is appropriate, and I am going to recommend that to a court tomorrow.
So he stated that Lyle and Erik were model citizens in prison. They started different things in prison to help people, different programs, things for people that needed help in all different ways. Apparently, they've done a lot in prison that was helpful to other people, not just themselves. They also finished college, graduated from college. Lyle did. They had some new evidence of a letter that a letter that Erik sent to his cousin, and it happened months before the incident. And it was just found because apparently the cousin had passed away and his mother had packed up all his belongings and stuck it in a box. And she recently found the letter. There was also another thing that came up that would corroborate the things that they said. And it was a Menudo boy that came forward and stated that Jose Menendez had assaulted him as well, plus the things that they've done good in prison. So this is why he is requesting they, get resentenced. And if they got resentenced, since they were 21 and 18 at the time, under 26 California law, they would have gotten it would have been a manslaughter. They would have had the possibility of parole and they would have been out by now. So since they've been in prison, I think it was 34 years, they would have been out, is what he's stating. Well, new update. So apparently, the district attorney sent a letter to Governor Newsom of California, and he's requesting that the governor give them clemency. So if the governor gives them clemency, they can get out pretty quick. Otherwise, they have to go through different avenues and they may not get out because just because the district attorney is requesting that doesn't mean that they will agree. In fact, he stated that in his office, not everybody agreed. A lot of people think they should stay there forever. And a lot of people do agree. Now, when he did this press conference, almost all of the family members of Kitty Menendez and Jose were behind all this. There is one person that is not, and that is Kitty's brother. He does not agree with it, and he thinks they should stay in there forever, and he doesn't believe a word of the S abuse. So my question is, what are your thoughts? Do you think that they should be released? Do you think they've done their time? Do you think they should stay in there for the rest of their lives? Please let me know in the comments below. Also, please subscribe and hit the bell. I appreciate you watching True Crime, Voice for the Voiceless, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.